So I want to say peace to y'all. As of late, what's been going and circulating around the media was a shooting of 16-year-old Makhia Bryant, right? Recently, she was just killed a couple days ago by a police officer. 4 gunshot wounds. It's been a lot that's been going on as of late. What had happened when I did my research on was that Makhia Bryant got into it with some girls and she ended up getting shot. Get into it with some girls and she ended up getting her life taken away due to the fact that the officer told her to put her weapon down. Because we have to think about it, a knife is a dangerous weapon. Any dangerous use of deadly weaponry is going to result in the deadly force. You get what I'm saying? So the officer, he was going to do what he had to do. Regardless of how people feel about the situation, things happen for a reason, right? When it comes down to certain people, as far as going through a situation with a police officer, you have to learn how to be able to comply. Because if you don't know how to comply with a police officer and you acting all scary and fearful with them, that same energy that y'all are giving off is going to be reciprocated towards them. So they're going to have the same feeling towards you. You got to understand this. When it comes to communicating with a police officer, you have your information ready, right? You have to let them know that if you're carrying a concealed weapon, you have to let them know that. Other than that, if you don't let them know and you're just riding around possibly illegally with a weapon as well, you're going to go to jail. You're going to have to face the consequences and stuff like that, man. So what I'm looking at is people are in an uproar because they say she was unrighteously killed by a police officer. And note the fact that it's something that goes on every year when the media decides to develop some kind of psyop to put and induce into the public. They always want to try to manipulate people's mindsets and get them bent out of shape because a black person has lost their life in the hands of a police officer, right? But what people fail to realize, especially black people, you people have to understand, when it comes down to that, it's deeper than what it is. Because look, organizations and many other different groups are in support, quote unquote support of, the celebratory of black people getting their lives taken away from police officers. But what's going on in the hood, though? What's going on in different communities that's full of black people, right? What I just found out, and shout out to Ock Nation News, because he gets all the info as far as, certain new information that comes about, and he presents it right away. So shout out to him, because I recently just seen this, and he's going to premiere this video later on today. What I seen was that it's another female, right? Another young woman, and the name, if I get it right, is Nyaira Gibbons. She was only 13 years old, right? And she lived in Winton Hills, Cincinnati, Ohio. She stayed out there where I did the research. Majority of black people stay at. It's 84%. It's 84% of black people out there, and about only 11% of Caucasians staying out there as well. So every time when something happens between, black people, when it's a black on black crime, it's always going to be swept under the rug. Every single time. It's like when a crime is being committed towards each other, that's all swept under the rug. They don't say anything about that. Every year, you got to see this. It's something that goes on that's very chaotic, that what I'm still researching and understanding, that every time when it hits around this time of year, it's always something that's very chaotic that they're trying to spiral up into the psyche of a lot of people, especially black people, because we are the most emotional people that is alive right now. Those who have lived or are still alive, we still go through the same curses that was prophesied in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, that we were going to face curses. The Most High was going to give us curses to go through for the next 400 years. The past 400 years, we dealt with different kinds of situations until the veil was lifted. So, look, I'm telling the people of color, children of Israel, black people, y'all have to get it together. When it comes down to any situation that's like a form of life and death, you have to learn how to have meekness. You got to learn how to be more submissive sometimes. Just comply and do what people tell you to do so that it will lessen the situation. Because once you get into a situation, it's easier to get in trouble and harder to get out. You know what I'm saying? It's easier to get in trouble and it's harder to get out of it. You just have to do what's being told of you. You're too prideful. You're too egotistical. At the end of the day, it is what it is. The officer had to do his job. He was trained to do that. He seen a deadly weapon that the girl, Makhia Bryant, was going to take action and force upon the other woman and stab her up. And then what you think would have happened? Makhia Bryant would have been going to the juvenile detention center, and she would have been doing some time in there. Possibly no later than getting out at 21 years old, right? So that's why I'm just trying to tell y'all, you got to be able to learn how to think. Make sure that you're always on your 10 toes. Be on 10 toes. Because at the end of the day, the world doesn't care about you. And black people, you got to realize, if you read the Bible, it will go to show, especially when you do more research out of the Bible, we were people that had a ruling class mentality before we started disobeying the Most High God and his rules and his laws. And then we were put over on a curse. A curse was put onto us, I should say. But I don't know, man. It's so much confusion as far as what the people are going through, and people are just believing anything that the media tells them. They have to say, they will have to let you guys know. The truth is always going to be put out there some way, somehow. Sometimes you really just got to do your own research, because you can't believe everything that the damn media says. Fuck what they talking about, you know? Do your own research. In Revelations, it talks about, blessed is he that researcheth and keeps the word of prophecy, you know? And where that scripture comes from is that once you research and study and apply the facts, you know, facts can trample over emotions. Facts will always trample over y'all emotions, because at the end of the day, feelings, let me say this, logic overrides feelings, because when you're faced with the facts, it is what it is. There's no change in that. It doesn't matter about, it never matters about how you feel at the end of the day. That's why I'm just like, nah, I wanted to really make a video, and the Most High put it on my spirit to be like, you know, just make the video, talk about it, because it's a good thing that I'm doing a lot more research. I'm getting back into it so I can be able to drop more content to let y'all know, like, believe nothing that you hear and half of what you see, or it might be the other way around. Believe half of what you hear and nothing that you see. Yeah, that's how it is, man. Once it comes down to you, what people got to realize is that when it comes down to, you know, watching certain things on the media, what happens is that people get so influenced by what the media shows. You know what I'm saying? It's so easy to change a person's emotions because common sense is flying out the window nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Ain't too many people got so much common sense left in the world. That's why I try to avoid anything that is shown on local news, because I stay in Detroit, right? And every time when I used to try to watch the news, what do I always see? There's always some black on black crime that's going on. And that's getting so ridiculous. And I understand where a lot of other black people who see it for what it is, they're getting pissed off as well, because at the end of the day, y'all have to know when to hold them and fold them. Hold them and fold them. Because we are in the days, approaching the days, and we are in the end times, man. We are in the last days where everything is just spiraling out of control, and it's becoming very, very chaotic. It's becoming really chaotic out here now, and it's about time for people to really wake up. The best thing I can do is be a messenger to y'all, so y'all can understand. I can be, the man that sheds the light on the situation, because there's many other people, there's many other brothers that I know that's doing the same thing out here. Shed the light on the situation and understand that most of the time you can't believe everything that the media tells you. You cannot put your trust in the media. You cannot put your trust in man, because man will tell you to do something that goes against the Most High's laws and his rules. And once you do that, of course, you are going to face judgment, or you're going to face a lot of difficulties soon to approach judgment in life, man. That's why I realized, once I stay in the word, and it helps me give some guidance and to know what to do and what not to do, then I'm good to go. And you live to see another day. So at the end of all this, when it comes down to being in a deadly situation where you're involved with somebody and the cops show up, right? So as soon as the cops come, that's when it's like, all right, okay, someone in higher authority is coming to defuse the situation. They're coming in your environment to defuse the situation before it gets any worse, and they're gonna have to do what they're gonna be trained to do, to either tase you or shoot you. Some people, it is what it is. Some people are just doing what they're taught in the police academy. The dude seen a deadly weapon, so he had to use deadly force upon that girl. And it's unfortunate because she didn't deserve to die. But look, at the end of the day, once y'all get into something that can possibly harm someone else's life, you got to look at it from this way. Is it worth it? Is it worth losing your life? Because as soon as the police officer shows up, anybody in authority, and they tell you to drop that weapon, you drop it. I know a lot of people might be having a lot of frustrations, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to, decipher things from a different angle. You got to be able to know that facts always matter. And to other black people, their lives don't matter. Black lives that never matter. They never really cared to help other black people. If you go on the website, you can read of what they're really about, man. I read about Black Lives Matter. I know what their agenda is. I know what they're really trying to do as far as so-called, quote-unquote, helping black people. They don't even mention the black men on the website. They talk about black folks, excuse me, black folks, the disabled black women, the homosexuals. But the black man, he goes completely ignored. All the time. It never fails. So, my message for today is that men have to realize, men and women, y'all got to think more rationally, because, a tooth for a tooth, an eye for an eye. Sometimes you're going to end up getting what you deserve. And sometimes it's best to not let a situation escalate more than what it should be. You got to let people Just, you got to learn how to take an L some days. Like, you got to learn how to hold them, fold them. Sometimes you got to take that L. Don't let it get to a point where, like, somebody comes in authority, quote unquote, a police officer, and then they have to use force because you're still, you know, engaging in an activity where the officer says, put down anything that you have that's very dangerous, that can take someone else's life, because she could have stabbed that girl up. And then worst case scenario, hey, look at it from this way. If it was the other way around, the same thing would have happened to those girls. Peace.